Thank you, Asher. Good morning and welcome to Second Unitarian Church. My name is Joy Messenger. My pronouns are they and them, and I am one of the co-chairs of Social Justice Ministries. This morning, we are in person at the Admiral at the Lake, as well as here at the 2U Sanctuary, and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We ask everyone's indulgence and patience for the complications of a three-part service, and we are glad that you are here, whichever way that you are attending. Following public health guidelines, the board has moved to making masks optional in the sanctuary, and we remain committed to creating a safe worship experience. If COVID numbers change, the board may decide to begin requiring masks again. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors this morning. Finding a new community and making new connections can be a challenge, but please know that we're so excited to have you. We look forward to getting to know you. If you're new to us today, you can put that in the Zoom chat. You can mention it in person during conversation after the service, or if you would like, there are blue mugs that you can use to signal to others that you would like them to come up and say hello to you. Our worship today is led by Kim Warman, along with George Cedarquist as the worship associate. Music is provided by our music director, Carl Kennedy. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, the music, and the technical production. They are listed in the order of service, and we thank them so much for their ongoing service to our congregation. You can find additional announcements in your order of service, and I now welcome George to lead our call to worship. Thank you.
We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but by the values we share. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, none of the time, you are welcome here. Whether you're joining us for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here.
Good morning. Good morning. Our introit this morning is Bright Morning Stars. You may recognize it from the Gray Hymnal. This version comes from UU musician Matt Meyer, and it's basically the same, it just has different words and a different melody. I'm going to be asking you to join me and do a little bit of singing with me this morning. So I'll teach you the first verse, and then we'll go from there. Bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising, bright morning stars arising. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber. 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 Day is a-breaking in my soul. Rise up and hear your calling. Rise up and hear your calling, rise up and hear your calling, rise up and hear your calling. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. We'll build this faith together. 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 Day is a breaking in my soul. Day's a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul. Day's a breaking. Day is a breaking in my soul.
I don't remember who does this part. Sorry. Me. In just a moment, Escher here and Harris at the Admiral will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. We light our chalices this morning with these words. We honor our memories and experiences that have shaped the lives we inhabit, recognizing where we have grown and the past that we have released, leaning into a future of curiosity, hope, and impermanent moments of joy. Escher, would you come on up? Okay. Okay.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 1011 in the Teal hymnal, Return Again. The words will appear on your screen. This is in two parts, and so we'll sing both of them. We'll sing part one, sing part two, and then split up. So starting with part one, Return Again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Part two. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to where you are, return
I invite you to stand in body or in spirit for our words of covenant. The words are printed in your order of service, are on the screen here in the loft, and are also on Zoom. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion. Please remain standing in body or in spirit for Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
You may be seated, unless you want to come up here because you are young or feeling young at heart. So if you'd like to come on up, and if not, it's as you are comfortable. You may be able to see pictures, but there should also be some pictures up there. So I am wondering, who here has gone to the beach before? You've gone to the beach. And other people, I'm imagining also. Okay. And how many people, who has built a sandcastle? You've built a sandcastle. Anybody else? No? Okay. Oh, sorry. I've moved away from the mic. Thank you. If you did not hear, we're asking about sandcastles. Okay. Where on the beach do you go when you're building a sandcastle? What part of the beach do you go to? Sure.
Close to the water, because that's where you get to the water to sturdy the sandcastle.
Ah, okay. So you want proximity. You want to be close to that water. And Sella?
Well, be close-ish to the water, but not too close, because then if you're too close, then the water can knock out. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Uh-oh. Okay. So that sounded pretty similar, right? You need it as a tool, and you might not want to be too close. So how, last question, how do you know when you're done building the sandcastle? How do you know? Any ideas? How do you know, Asher?
Because when you put the flag on the top.
Okay, it's done. What if you don't have a flag? So what do you do? How do you know when yours is done? You did the, okay, so you did the decorating and, oh. Yes, so the moat also maybe seems to be near the end.
One
We don't,
time at Ohio Beach,
yeah.
me and my friends built a old China.
How did you know when you were done? Did you make it?
We stopped halfway.
You stopped. Okay. Sometimes you just got to go home before the task is complete.
It was the 4th of July that we made.
Sounds fun. So we're going to talk about a sandcastle. This book today is called It Is Not Perfect. It's by Anna Kang, and the illustrations are by Christopher Wyant. And pictures are also on the screen. So there's two friends, and they're at the beach, and one says, "It's perfect." And there they have their sandcastle with some shells on it. And one says, what? It is not perfect. No? Almost. It needs flags. We can use these. And somehow they find some branches. Now it is perfect. Yes, but the towers could be taller.
I can do the big Air Force.
Yeah, I'm not differentiating so much today. Now it is perfect. Yay! And then there are two more friends. What? It is not perfect. That wall is too small. It is? It should be wider. And so there's sand flying, and pat, 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 and dig, dig, dig. And then the friends say, perfect. Well, except it needs more towers. And it needs more arches and more windows, and there are more friends and more ideas.
And a drawbridge.
And a drawbridge and stairs and a gatehouse. Lots of friends and lots of ideas and a moat. Which you also brought up is one of those things that you need by the end. Now, if you noticed, there's somebody's feet, so they're going to need a much bigger sandcastle. And they're digging so that they're even standing in the holes. And they're standing on top of each other's heads, and they're building stairs. They even have an airplane
They're
that
building
helps
a
them
house for them on the beach.
all the way up. And I'm noticing that that airplane is pulling a sign that says snow cones. It is perfect.
They literally built a house for them on the beach.
And everybody fits in. Everybody, there's room for everybody. And something else we've also brought out.
It was too close to the water.
Too close to the water. There is the inevitable wave.
That's called a tidal wave.
It looks like it.
It's
So splash and click, and the photo is taken. Just in time. Wow, all that work. What a shame. Yeah, too bad. And they're all tripping. And they look at each other. Because it's back to the original friends. They notice a friend coming by with a snow cone. And they also, yeah, it's blocking one of them, but they're sitting there with rainbow snow cones. Perfect. Truly. Thank you for joining me up here. Thank you for helping me out and answering questions. And if you could go back to your seats. Thank you for joining us. Do I just move it from here? Okay, don't want to break anything. Yeah, so we do not have Sunday school classes during the summer, okay? And they will return when they return. So each year, we all make a commitment, a pledge to support the ministry of our church. On fifth Sundays, we hear from one of our own ministries or committees about its work in building community, exploring faith, or practicing justice. This morning, we'll hear some words from Social Justice Ministry, Joy Messenger. I'd like to invite Joy back up.
Hello again. Oops, I am very short. For those of you who have joined since the welcome, my name is Joy Messenger. I use they and them pronouns, and I am one of the co-chairs of Social Justice Ministries. Our other co-chair, Jonah Bondurant, is downstairs making coffee, so actually he's the real hero of this morning for you all to enjoy during coffee hour. I wanted to share a little bit about Social Justice Ministries with you this morning and invite you to be part of our work. As Social Justice Ministries Committee, the core of our work is that we are taking action in our communities and serving together as a way to learn about the issues that are impacting us in our neighborhood, our communities, and our lives. We do this so that we can be in right relationship with each other, we can be in right relationship with this neighborhood, and we can be stewards of the abundance that we all share. Our 4 core issues that we have chosen to focus on for the past couple of years include environmental justice, decriminalization and abolition of policing in prisons, reproductive health rights and access, and LGBTQ liberation. We also know that single issues do not make strong fights, and so we do this at the overlaps of racial, gender, economic, disability, and migrant justice as well. Just to share a little bit about what we have done over the past year, and many of you have been part of this work, we co-sponsored a Defund Fear Reading group with the Anti-Racism Committee. We have partnerships with the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois and the UU Advocacy Network of Illinois, as well as the Lighthouse Foundation. We, for many, many, many years, prepared meals and sack suppers for the night ministry and their work. We helped to plan some education in the rally for reproductive rights after our church was vandalized last year. We mobilized people to attend the Stop Transgenocide rally that was downtown and was co-planned by a number of our members. And we successfully wrote and got passed an action of immediate witness to stop Cop City, the police training facility that is proposed to be built in Atlanta at this past year's General Assembly. Some of the ongoing work that we do, we on first and third Mondays volunteer with Chicago Community Jail Support, which is a mutual aid project you'll be learning more about next month, from 5:30 to 8 outside of Cook County Jail to provide support to people who are being released. Our Plate Share Subcommittee, which you hear from every single week in our work, both indirectly and directly, is a part of Social Justice Ministries. We have engagement with incarcerated UUs through the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, and we publish the Hammer Social Justice newsletter. Some of the future plans that we are looking forward to doing this year include some monthly service and getting more engaged with our Plate Share recipients, which you'll be learning more about as the year goes on. We'll be volunteering with the national UUA Side with Love campaign, which is a national advocacy and mobilization campaign, and supporting their efforts to UU the vote and get people out to vote in to vote in support of justice and progressive values. We're also planning on doing some skill building around community organizing and having deeper conversations within our congregation and with our neighbors, and as I mentioned before, the Plate Share Subcommittee. So we welcome you to get involved. We have monthly meetings on the 4th, or if there's more than 4, on the last Tuesday of each month. We're currently having these meetings virtually, and you can find out about them through the SJM group listserv, or by getting in touch with me, talking to me after a service, or over email. I think that my email address at this point is permanently in the order of service for you all to find, or to speak with Jonah. Also volunteering with our group that goes to Chicago Community Jail Support every other week. And we especially invite you to attend our August meeting, which is going to be on August 29th. It'll be a little bit longer than our usual 1-hour meeting. We'll be meeting for an hour and a half and doing some planning for 2023 and 2024. The last thing I wanted to leave you with is just a reminder about why we do this work. Some of you may be familiar with the quote, "Justice is what love looks like in public," by Dr. Cornel West. And I feel really called to the sentiment in this quote as a Unitarian Universalist, because love is at the core of so much of what we do as a community. And in social justice ministries, we understand that it's a radical liberatory love. It's a love that encompasses and transforms our anger, that holds our UU values, our UU covenants, and that when it's harnessed, it can have major collective power to transform ourselves, to transform our communities, and to transform our world. So I hope that you will join us within Social Justice Ministries and support our ongoing work. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service, are on the screen here in the loft, and are also on Zoom. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
I invite you now into the spirit of prayer and meditation. Let us start by breathing together, taking a breath in and and out. We begin in thanks, thankful for the breath in our lungs, for the beauty of our earth, and the strength of this community. We hold in our hearts those who care for family in ill health, those who live with grief or chronic pain, those struggling with addiction or illness, seen and unseen. We are with you. For parents and teachers, all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, family, and community members, we are with you. We pray for our neighbors in prison, for those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty. We are with you. We pray for all those living in harm's way. We pray for our planet and commit to work that will lead us away from the harms of climate change. We pray that wisdom, compassion, and empathy guide the leaders of our world. May they and we be instruments of a just and lasting peace. Our lives are blessed by those who knowingly, with curiosity and courage, face their final days. Into this shared space and the shared silence, I invite you now to speak the name of anyone you wish to lift up to the living and loving support of this community. With our deepest compassion, let us hold in our hearts those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. Let it be so. Amen. Blessed be. During our ritual of lighting candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to maintain our safety with each other. Here in the 2U loft, you're invited to come forward and light a candle. As you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer that's available. For those at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and to take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly, putting your energy into the stone, and then knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by the community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. And for those of us on Zoom, as I usually am, join us by sharing your joys and concerns in the chat window. And I will light 2 candles here, one representing all our unspoken joys, and another for our unspoken sorrows. celebrations, sorrows, and struggles close to our hearts. Joy, would you share the first reading, please?
Of me this morning. Our first reading this morning are the words of Nobu Suzuki, excerpted from The Magic of Imperfection, the prologue to their book, Wabi Sabi, The Wisdom in Imperfection. Suzuki names the three principles of Wabi Sabi as 1, nothing is perfect. 2, nothing is finished. And 3, nothing lasts forever. First, applied to humans, being aware of our imperfection makes us humble. Accepting it frees us from being unhealthily self-demanding and from the fixation on a perfection that does not exist in nature, and by extension, does not and cannot exist in humans either. Second, there is always room for improvement. If we are secure in our absolute and subjective truth, we have no margin to grow. Moving on to the second principle, Wabi Sabi reminds us precisely that nothing is finished. Just as nature develops infinitely amid cycles of births and deaths, so too are humans dynamic. Taking a wabi-sabi approach to life means that once you have recognized your own imperfection, embracing continuous learning and assuming that everything is still to be done, and therefore that everything is still to be lived. The third principle of wabi-sabi is understanding the fleeting nature of all that exists. Rather than saddening us, accepting that nothing lasts forever inspires us to value the beauty of the moment, which is the only thing that we can capture here and now. It is an invitation to give our everything to whatever we may be doing.
Our second reading is What Can I Say? From Swan by Mary Oliver. What can I say that I have not said before? So I'll say it again. The leaf has a song in it. Stone is the face of patience. Inside the river, there is an unfinishable story, and you are somewhere in it, and it will never end until all ends. Take your busy heart to the art museum and the Chamber of Commerce, but take it also to the forest. The song you heard singing in the leaf when you were a child is singing still. I am of years lived so far, 74, and the leaf is singing still.
Good morning. I am Kim Werman. I use she, her pronouns, and I started attending to you about 25 years ago, and I am so happy to be standing with you here today. One day recently, I woke to myself humming the song Return Again. I didn't remember all the lyrics, and I wondered why I was singing that song in my head. I love the minor key, the meditative spirit, the simplicity of lyric, but I argued with myself, it's just not true. You can't go home again. We won't be the same person, and home changes while we are living our lives. But maybe that is the point for us to consider. Return to who you are, born and reborn again. We are already ourselves, but maybe we get lost and need moments to reflect and consider whether we are connected to who we want to be, or can try new things that we would not have considered, choices that may bring us closer to living into our fullest selves. As I go through another transition, looking for my first professional chaplaincy position, I think of turning to the touchstone of my authentic self. As I continue to think of 2U as my home congregation that I have left a few times and yet returned to, a time at another church, in Connecticut for an internship, and now I'm at Aurora St. Luke's Medical Center in Milwaukee, where I'm completing a year's residency. I'm reminded as I watch services on Zoom and see people at the podium that I don't recognize, seeing the sacred place that we create at the Admiral, I'm reminded that a congregation and even a church building do not stay the same over time. Here in the loft, instead of the sanctuary, I see both familiar and unfamiliar faces. I remember in this space winter solstice gathering and a church service with Bill Sinkford before he became president of the UUA. And I'm thrilled to see faces that I do not know. Here in your presence, I feel the collective energy, vision, and community that tells me that we have been thriving, that we continue to thrive. When I first came to 2U, a punk rock family with a husband and a toddler, I was displaced from Montreal. Our transportation were our shoes and a wagon. I mourned the loss of the city that I'd lived in for 7 years, the friendships I made, and the country I had just taken citizenship in. When I entered these walls, I felt comfortable in the simplicity of this space, the welcome of the aged wooden floor, which had welcomed so many, the green wreaths of stained glass. And I felt intimidated to be with people who owned houses, people who drove cars, people who had a different clothing aesthetic than my Doc Martens and t-shirts. It felt risky to come to the community as who I was, to try out my new self, to stretch into who I could be, because I needed a sense of safety that I hesitantly felt here, a sanctuary. I was charmed by Reverend Lynn Unger being the greeter at the door, also giving the sermon, and then joining the choir with the sopranos, all in the same morning. She embodied trying out the different aspects of one's identity. And it was the liturgy that made me cry. The covenant, speaking of the love involved in diversity and conflict, aspiration juxtaposed beside a vulnerably named reality of practicing to be in community. The offertory words that speak of us being a community of ourselves, who we are collectively depends upon who of ourselves we choose to bring and share. And so it was the words that helped me to feel safe enough to cry. We each come to a new church with different needs. I had a 3-year-old, and though I was partnered at the time, we were without extended friends and family to model for him the varieties of love, acceptance, and community. I am never sure where I'm going to get hit, okay? That we felt in Montreal. If there could be 2 moms in the minister's family, my child's imagination could stretch. And I noticed when he was 5, the animal families that my son played with sometimes had 3 moms and 2 dads, or 1 mom and 4 dads. I came to C2U as a place to bring my true crying self, and a safe place to try on and expand unexplored parts of me. I tried out wearing clothes that weren't all black. I don't enjoy cooking, but my spirit was affirmed knowing that my Yemenite haroset was requested for the Seder, or I could offer vegan crepes at a pancake breakfast. I enjoyed time spent working with faith development for a while. I was briefly on the board. More recently, I was encouraged to join choir and was surprised my voice could try to come back after not singing since middle school, which was a while ago. 2U was a safe place for me to try out those aspects of myself I was not exploring. And instead, I am thankful for the opportunities to grow and opportunities to give. I think about how it takes time to become rooted, time to be nurtured by a place, time to recognize faces and learn names, time to discover niches, roles where we are comfortable and those we grow into. As people, we have a tendency to idolize the past. Maybe you have times or places that you hold in reverence, be it high school or college, time with a particular family member, or a special place with trees, maybe near water. Think about it for a moment. And what comes to mind? It's important to value times and places where we were valued. And particularly when there are people involved, times are not always perfect. And so this is also what we can do with memories of a church when we first arrive. Can you recall your first service, the first potluck you went to, or attended your first young adult brunch? The first time you spoke with the minister? What was the meaningful moment you first had at 2U? They can become ossified, like the bone. We come with particular needs to be met, and if they're met, we stay. But we may continue to think of the church as how it was when we first arrived. But we change over time. I know I do. I think of my son being 8 or 9, enjoying Earth Day work days at North Park Nature Center, intergenerational retreats at Lake Geneva, the stone soup we made from food we brought before our annual meeting. But it wasn't all perfect. Deciding whether to take down the rusty climbing equipment out back, which had been made with our own hands. A minister leaving, uncertainties that come with times of interim ministers. And for me, trying to fit a Sunday church routine into working and grad school and raising a child. It's overwhelming. We got through renovating the Palmer room and the kitchen, and I found that I was resistant to change. I wondered if renovations in the basement, how they would look like, and how do we honor the truth of the past and acknowledge more uncertainty, accept new possibilities. News to you, but my son didn't stay 8 forever. I moved from working in Montessori pre-K to working as a tutor in middle and high schools. I started grad school. My life was stretched, but it included moments of perfection amidst the struggle. Turns out it's hard work being born and reborn again, taking on responsibilities, changing directions, and finding new ways to thrive. After years of tutoring and teaching, I did finally find the niche that was mine at a small Catholic school teaching English language learners, students who gave me the opportunity, the space gave me opportunity to honor students in a more holistic way than I had found in CPS. Until it didn't anymore. When I struggled in finding ways to advocate and navigate for students who identified as gay or non-binary. And I also want to say that I've worked in a Catholic high school that was more supportive of students in that way. I wanted a vocation that didn't require erasing people, or lying, or biting my tongue all the way through my integrity. For a year, I loved the creativity I was able to put into it there, teaching my class a Christmas song that I had learned with the 2-year choir. I have fond memories, and I must recognize that it was not perfect. I reevaluated the course of my life and accounted for where I was spending my time and energy, and that was at church. And elsewhere, working on anti-racist and other social justice work, all involving me to learn and continue expanding who I could be. And so I went into seminary. Return again. But each time we return to a different reality, changing jobs, children, critters, our parents, none of us stay the same age. As our lives shift, we change as well. We are sandcastle builders, not knowing what form the creation of our life will take, but willing to continue and explore in spite of, or because of, the seemingly precarious nature of moments and their appreciation. Last week, I woke before 6 a.m. and sat out on my balcony, my apartment, a couple houses outside of Milwaukee, intending to read for my residency, but instead I looked at the indigenous bees on the bee balm that I'd planted there. It was a perfectly, momentarily perfect balance. And then I remembered I had an hour to read the chapter before my group met. Joy at any moment of balance is momentary. I realized that leaves were starting to curl up on the bee balm. There might be an infestation. The perfect still has flaws to recognize and address. Let us preserve cherished memories of the past and an acceptance that it was ephemeral, meeting the needs of who we were as we were growing into who we will become. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is finished. Nothing lasts forever. I am still an introvert. I still have a preference for wearing black and still wear more earrings in one of my ears. But I am thankful that I have developed and grown and figure out how to adjust to possibilities and changes around me. So let us appreciate this moment, the perfect balance in this instance, this morning, the leaf still singing. And then may we embrace the possibility of the next perfect moment. Our stories are not over. We are always becoming. I invite you to rest your hands upon your heart or clasp hands with those you are sharing your life with during these pandemic times, and hear these words of benediction adapted from Richard Gilbert. Our lives are always unfinished business. From beckoning birth to dawning death, we are in process. Always there is more to be done. Do not let the incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your every day. Do not fear that we are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can soon be more than we are. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for our lives are always unfinished business. Blessed be.